wonderful viewers out there. Hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to watching another episode of Awesome Joe's Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be go ahead and talking about the movie Wicked for Good. It is now out in theaters. Unlike all the others who did get the chance to watch the first Wicked movie in theaters last year, had to wait an entire year to see the part 2, the final conclusion to this whole Wicked storyline. And for me, I only watched it for the first time and watched it several more times after, just a week or two ago. And it was just a phenomenal movie. It got me so amped up and excited that I could not wait to see what happens next. So it only took me a good half a month to wait until I get to go and see how this went all through. I did get to see it opening night. I see it on Friday, and I just gotta say, when it comes to a movie such as this, it's very complicated. It's very complicated to, especially when you're doing a two-parter on a story, on how you can, on the second half of a story, it's hard to close the book. It's really hard to get a conclusion to all of the characters, to the story itself. And that's what happened with this one. I find it as a big habit on those type of movies. I love the Kill Bill movies, both of them, but critically wise, the first one was better than the second one. Or if you were to look at Pirates of the Caribbean, the Dead Man's Chest with At World's End. Dead Man's Chest was a good movie. Then you went to At World's End. I love both of them, but critically, the third one didn't go so well. Or if you do the Matrix movies, Reloaded and Revolutions, people enjoyed Reloaded but didn't enjoy Revolutions. So this is a constant habit that happens a lot. Mission Impossible, we just had it with Dead Reckoning Part 1. Not as good as Fallout, but it was still a really great Mission Impossible movie. And then you get the Final Reckoning that came out recently this year in May, and it wasn't as good. It felt a little too stretched and pulled out. It just dragged itself way too much. A lot of information given, and it just didn't work out as well for me. I loved everything else when it comes to the action, but the movie itself wasn't that well. So that's what brings me to my point of when I'm talking about Wicked for Good. It's the second half of the story, and as epic and amazing and magical as the first film was, you would expect yourself when you go and watch the second half that it's everybody, the whole cast and crew are returning to doing this magical world of Oz and its great story that has been a Broadway musical legend successor for many, many years. But I looked this up after I saw the movie, and I've never seen the play before, but for those who have said that it's just like how the movies are. The first half is wonderful. It's a great story. But then when you reach into the second half, it's a downfall. It's not that good. No, don't get me wrong. I didn't hate the movie. I actually enjoyed it. It was great and wonderful seeing these cast members returning back, playing their roles again. It was just wonderful getting to seeing them. But normally, like how what happens in these movies is that the movie drags itself. There's some boring moments in there where you're just like, okay, let's get the ball rolling here. Where are we getting ourselves to? What's this movie going to be about? How is this all going to come to its final closure? And one thing that I really try to avoid doing when I'm watching a movie in theaters is if a movie is dragging itself way too much and it gets me to where I'm looking at my watch, then we have a problem. You're losing my interest, and that's what this movie did. Wicked did not get me there. The first Wicked movie, the runtime is extremely long, and it's amazing, fascinating on how that really just kept me going through, kept me entertained, and I didn't even want it to end once it had that epic to be concluded ending, the cliffhanger. But coming into this, looking at my watch, it just bummed me out. It really bummed me out. So I'm gonna go ahead and give out the positives of this movie. Like I said, the cast is still amazing. Ariana Grande is fascinating as Glenda. I didn't mention this in my last video, but her comedic performance is so fun. I love her comedic performance. It's so fun. In the last film, I had a great time. I love her personality. I love the way that she delivers her character throughout the film. And she does the same thing here. And I just find it so amazing, so fascinating. There's this scene that I found funny, but also very dramatic when these two, Glenda the Good and the Wicked Witch, they have a little argument. They have a little fight between the two, crossing wands. And it was fun, but there was a moment where, because you get everything that the Wicked Witch delivers as to how we identify her character as throughout this whole entire century, but the only thing that she's missing is the wicked laugh. And she does it for a second, and the way Ariana Grande does, she just goes like, what was that? And I saw that, I was like, that was so funny. That was fun. I love that. That was so great. But yeah, the way that she plays her character was just so fun. I loved it through and through. But going into the depth of her character, I love on how in the first movie, she's seeking what she wants. She knows that she can get whatever she wants. She's that popular girl. But but throughout the movie, she's not getting what she wants. The focus is being more on towards Elphaba and her capabilities of becoming what Glenda wants to be. She wants to be this magical person, someone who can inspire others and give them hope. And knowing that she doesn't have the power and Elphaba does, there be some times where you can see that there's some jealousy, there's some enviness, and she wants what she has. Not in an evil way, but she's just like, why can't I have what I want kind of behavior. She's just a mean girl. But yeah, later on, of course, they become friends, and she begins to learn and understand her character, and tends to grow into becoming an even more better person. Instead of putting all the focus on herself, she's putting more of the focus onto Elphaba's character. Really visualizing and seeing, who she truly is. So by the end of the movie, they sing the song on how they're telling each other, I hope you're happy, I hope you're happy. And Elphaba may be out trying to save the animals from being tortured and being thrown into cages and stuff like that. She may be going out doing those type of things, and then Glenda getting what she wanted, not by choice. It's just, you got Miss Marvel, who's played by oh my gosh, what was it? Michelle Yeoh, and I had a brain fart there. Michelle Yeoh, she's amazing too. I'll talk more about her in a little bit here, but I love the way on how Michelle Yeoh really does characterize her villainous character in this film, because she's really the true Wicked Witch in this, kind of like what Rachel Weisz was in the Oz Great and Powerful movie. But yeah, it never really this movie doesn't really explain a lot, even though it's the final film of these two movies. If you ask me, I really do think that they had some room where they could open doors to a third film, but because on how the play did the way it was performed, the movie followed the same steps, which I think that was a big error, because nowadays, of course, movies are made through comic books, anything, any book illustrations, things like that, and they always have to stay true to the source material in order to be successful as to why this illustration was successful in the first place. But this, on the other hand, I would have to say that I think that you had so many chances into making changes. You did throw in a few extra things here and there to make it your own project, but in the direction that it takes itself, I don't think that it should have been in the same way as what the play performed as. You know, the ending is a little different. You know, it played off in a way that I really thought to myself, why would it go this way? I knew it was going to happen, but why would it do that? The music is phenomenal. I enjoy all of the music. It's not as good as the music in the first film. The first film, wonderful. I mean, that Defying Gravity song, of course, it's the most popular one. And yes, it was just fantastic. But you don't get any songs that really top that. They're all great. They're all great, but not as memorable as the first ones. You do get two brand new made songs put into the movie, one for Elphaba and a solo singing song, and one for Glinda's solo singing song, which was what was it, Girl in a Bubble and There's No Place Like Home, you know. And when I heard them, it's like the songs, like I said, they're really great, but the songs feel more conversative than they do being an actual song. You know, you can't really tell the difference between any of them. They all sound pretty much the same, but like I said, they're still pretty great. I really did enjoy them. I love musicals. I really do have a great time with musicals, and this one, the first, especially the first film, most definitely would pop up on the list. This one, supposedly it was supposed to make me cry, but it didn't really make me cry. I didn't have any crying feelings happening. You know, there's some tragedy that happens with some individual characters that are transformed into other memorable characters that really don't have any closure. I mean, once they're transformed, you don't really get to see them ever again. You know, you get a few glimpses here and there, but then that's about it. You know, because they do twirl in stuff of the Wizard of Oz into this, you know, as we all know and remember about that movie from 1939. You know, and I recently watched the Wizard of Oz, and I thought to myself, that doesn't make any sense, you know, because you know, you got some characters who are, you know, upset. They seem very, you know, very, like, you know, they have some retaliation, and that doesn't seem like those characters. You know, it's supposed to be the perspective of the Wicked Witch and Glinda. Yes, I understand that. You know, and it is their story, so everything else that happens in the background, it's, you know, it's not included. You know, we don't get to see Dorothy. Dorothy pops up in this, but we never get to see her face. We never get to see her interact with anybody. It doesn't make any sense. And how is it that Dorothy does get these slippers from the Wicked Witch of the East, which is, of course, Nessa Rose? It gets squashed by the house. And, you know, why would Glinda give Dorothy the shoes? It doesn't make any sense, you know. And of course, Nessa Rose is supposed to be your friend, and yet you don't seem to be mourning for her or being upset, but yet you want to go ahead and fulfill your role as the false hope for these people, and, you know, guiding her to go to take the Yellow Brick Road to go see the Wizard of Oz, which of course has no power. Just like how Elphaba explains in these movies, is that this wizard has no power. So why in the world are we giving hope to these people with something that they don't contain, that they don't possess? So, but of course Elphaba does, but yet they don't want to look at her as the hope of the people. Instead, they accuse her of being the villain of the story, and which of course is not the case. I feel really bad for Elphaba in this movie because she's really trying to do her very best into helping these people and the animals, but yet nobody's listening. Nobody is listening, and that's just terrible. Is it just because of the fact that she's green? And of course, you know, you get Madame Marble, who continues to spread false words about her, treating her like as if she is the villain of the story. And that's just terrible. I mean, I'm just like, that's just, and you know, and there's something about Madame Marble that I'm not really too fond of, is she contains this power, but yet where did her power originate? We do get some bits and pieces of information as to how is it that Elphaba contains her powers. Where did it originate from? Even that didn't make any sense to me. And then you got that magic book. I forgot the name of the book, but you know, it just pops up, and I'm like thinking to myself, where did this come from? I don't really understand where this actually originated from. I didn't question it in the first film because I thought it was going to be revealed in the second film, unless if I missed something. Yeah, she supposedly, I looked it up and it stated that the book was brought to Oz by a magical wizard, some type of Merlin-like character from ages ago, and the people of Oz have contained this book for a long period of time, but no one can ever are capable of reading it. I'm just like, that doesn't. It seems too much for me. I mean, you're telling me that the book comes from Earth, but yet Earth is a world that has no magic. The reason why there is supposedly magic in the world of Oz is because of the wizard who brings his mechanic knowledge into this world, and people look to it as magic. Glinda, she has this the bubble machine thing, and it's given to her so that way she can look more magical, and she's given a wand to make it look like as if that wand is magical. All of it is a big magic act, and you can see on how much Glinda, she has what she wants finally, but it's not in the way that it's not the way that she wanted it. She's got what she wanted, but not in the way that she wants it. She does want to give out hope, but she doesn't want to do it in a false way. It's not working out in the way that she wants. So the way that everything comes to a close here is that we all know that the Wicked Witch, she goes, "I'm melting, what a world," when Dorothy throws the bucket of water on her. Where did that come from? I don't really understand that. As they keep on coming up with the theory that, Elphaba, the only way that you can destroy the Wicked Witch is if you throw a bucket of water on her and she melts. They keep throwing that in there, and I'm just like, I don't know where y'all get that from. Where did that come from? It just, just all of a sudden, because you got soldiers that are, getting buckets of water to throw it at her when she's already left the room, and I'm just like, I don't know where that originated from. I'm seriously feeling like I'm missing something here. Have I missed out on some kind of dialogue that was mentioned about this false fact in either the last film or in this film? So, but yeah. The movie's still great. I had a really fun time. I just wish that it had the same kind of magic as the first film. It just was missing something. There's a lot of loose threads that were really never brought up. They were never really discussed at all. Like I said, when it comes to the Wizard of Oz storyline, I think that if anything, they should have involved it, maybe possibly in the third film. But I think they just crammed it a bit too much of everything. You got some draggingness going on at the first half of the film, and then the second half is more just cramped up. And I'm just like thinking, I think that they either had to get rid of that draggingness in the beginning of the film in order to expand what you had all cramped up in the second half of this movie, or just like I said, give it a third film. And it's not just for cash grab. It's just that you gotta let the movie breathe, and it's not breathing. It just feels like there's a lot of unexplained situations that occur in this film, and and it really puts us audiences in a very uncomfortable position, having to leaving the theater not wondering what just happened. Because if you were to compare this with the first film, the only reason why I feel like it is successful is because it was something different. It was something that we, as the audiences who are familiar with the world of Oz, that this is a story we're not familiar with. This is new territory. This is a new direction that we're not familiar with. Unlike when it comes to Wicked for Good, you have some aspects of the Wizard of Oz storyline brought into this, and it just seems very out of place. It just, there's a lot of familiarity that really puts us questioning what in the heck is going on. But all in all, I enjoyed the film. I really did. A really great time. There's a lot of things in it that did not work, that I really do wish did, but did not. And would I watch it again? Absolutely. I think that if it's going to be probably one of those films, if I were to watch it a few more times, I get to like it a little bit more, because that has happened before in the past with other movies. And I think that this is going to be another one of those movies. Unlike when it came to the first Wicked movie, I only watched it once, and the only reason why I watched it so many times is because I just had a great time, and I would love to relive that experience over and over again. But this one is going to be a whole other reason. It's for me to gain some more acceptance to the film. You know, and the way that, and like I said, the way that how it all ends. Oh man, I'll say this: there is a reveal that happens, and it made me laugh. It made me laugh out of pure relief, and the fact that I knew that was gonna happen. You know, it was just, but they made me believe that it was something else, and I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, I knew that was gonna happen, but yet you got me to think another way, so that was fun. So there's some positives to this. Believe me, there are some positives. Jeff Goldblum, like I said, every single second, the way that he acts is just great. I think he's great as the Wizard of Oz in this, and I don't even think he's even playing the wizard. I think he's just being Jeff Goldblum because he's just fun. He's just so much fun. You know, you do get to see more of him in this movie compared to the last one. He only appears at the ending of the film, but here you get to see more of him, not as much, but you do get to see more compared to the first film. So it was a wonderful time. But yes, fascinating. One more thing I wanted to throw out there is Ariana Grande, like I mentioned before. I knew of her, but I didn't know who she was. I've listened to her music, and I love her voice. It's a brilliant voice. It's just a magical voice, and it's fantastic, astonishing. I did get to watch the Wicked, A Wonderful Night special, and the way that she performs up on stage, she just has that really soft, motherly voice, and you know, it just gains a lot of trust off of that, and it's just fantastic. I did get to see her on several skits on Saturday Night Live, and one of the things that I do admire about her is that she has a great talent for impersonations, and she does a wonderful job at it. That's what a great thing about actors is that if you can be somebody else and that's not yourself, then you know you're an actor. You do a really great job at that. So great time, fun time. Wicked for Good, I'm gonna go ahead and give this rating because it has a lot of false a lot of negatives to it, but still a great film. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 78. It's low, but it's still good. Compared to the first one, I gave 100%, but this one I'm gonna give it a 78. You know, there's a lot of loose ends in it, and I really do wish that they could have done more with it. I don't think it should have been a two-part film. If anything, I think it should have been a 3-part. But that's just how I feel about the whole thing. So anyways, you guys, I'm out of time. Thank you guys so much for taking in the time to watching this video. What did you guys think? Have you gone out to watch Wicked for Good? If you have, please leave it down in the comment section at the bottom. Let's have an awesome time talking about this movie or any movies that you'd like to talk about in general, because I love to talk about movies, but most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. And don't forget that you can check out some more of my videos on YouTube. Just look me up at Awesome Joe Movie Reviews. If you enjoy these videos, click on the like and subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can get some updates on my videos that I post, on my latest videos. But anyways, you guys, I'm Awesome Joe. Keep on living the dream, and as always, stay awesome. Thanks you guys once more again, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Restore the Snyderverse! Bye.